Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. Tuesday marks the first day of the fall semester at St. Augustine's University, just days after a shakeup in the university's leadership. It's the latest in what's been a summer full of developments at the financially troubled university. WRAL's Shaun Gallegher joins us now to talk about where things stand on the first day of classes. Shaun, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
So why did the university's interim president resign?
Yeah, so we don't know a ton of information about that. All that we know from a statement from the university is that Marcus Burgess resigned for personal reasons. You may remember he took over as the interim president about 18 months ago. But the odd thing here is he apparently submitted this resignation letter back in July, but we're only hearing about this publicly now. And on Tuesday, students will start the fall semester, and they're starting this semester without a leader in place.
Do we know who is going to replace him? Is there a timeline for that?
Yeah, so we don't know a permanent replacement. Right now, all we know is that Virginis Peoples, the school's interim provost and vice president of academic affairs, is taking over the president's administrative responsibilities. And if that sounds weird to you, it sounds weird to us as well. St. Aug's hasn't outright said that she's taking over as the interim president by any means. So at this point, it's really unclear if there is a leader in place. And, that could really put a lot of things in jeopardy for them moving forward.
With all that in mind, how does the campus community and the alumni community feel about these changes?
Yeah, not great. I think that's to put it lightly. I was speaking with a member of the Save SAU coalition, and, I just referenced that, the last year and a half, 2 years or so has been chaos, and he said that was putting it kindly. So that just kind of gives you an idea how a lot of alumni are feeling about all of this going on. You think about 2 years ago, they lost accreditation. They did gain that back. But now the Save SAU coalition fears without an actual interim president in place, that accreditation could be on the line again. It could be in jeopardy. But at least for this semester, accreditation is guaranteed through the fall. That is something that the university worked through earlier this year.
Okay, let's take a quick break right there, and we'll be right back. So, Shaun, before the break, you were walking us through these leadership changes, which do still have a lot of question marks. And then you also were explaining the accreditation status situation at SAU. How does that accreditation, being guaranteed through the fall, how is that affecting students?
Yeah, so the accreditation at a base level just essentially solidifies that, your education is what your school says it is. So, when students graduate from here, they go to their future employer to say, hey, look, my degree says that I have, a bachelor's in engineering or science or anything like that. That allows employers to say, we trust that because that school is accredited. So you've learned what you've said. So accreditation being there through the fall guarantees the students and their education will be, approved by the general public here. But, we still don't know what's going to happen after this fall. I don't know about you, but I graduated in the spring. A lot of people probably graduate in the spring. So it's still up in the air whether, students who are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, who still have much more than one semester left, how this could affect their education moving forward.
And what do classes look like? I know we did some stories over the summer about the physical state of campus. So what is that like right now, and where are students taking their classes?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard for us to tell, with the general campus because it is a private university. They don't allow us to just, drive on campus and scope things out. But about a month and a half ago, I did a story about, an arson investigation in one of the abandoned residential buildings on campus where, somebody went in, they were apparently stealing copper and, lighting things on fire. And, there are multiple buildings like that on campus that, I've talked to alum who tell me, I lived in that building or I lived nearby, and now it's just, essentially a ghost town. And a lot of these spots where, around this time in the past, there would be excited students that are moving in, excited to start their, semester at St. Aug's and, their experience here at, a historically black college or university that has a lot of pride. And now, it's a shell of itself, really, when you see different parts of this campus that we can only see from the street.
Right. And, I know the university, like alumni and everything have talked about how hard that is. Where does the university go from here?
Yeah, it's a tall hill that they have to try to get up. They have, millions in debt that they are going to have to address, and that's probably the biggest thing that they have moving forward. And part of that is their accreditation as well. They need to solidify that accreditation so they're not going a semester at a time, that they, can keep having students come here and feel confident that when they leave in 4-ish years, they can walk out with a degree that matters. The university did vow that it's filing an injunction in court to keep their accreditation status as it works towards maintaining that standing for good. But that doesn't sound great if you're an incoming freshman or a returning sophomore about where do you stand in 2 or 3 years. And as far as those debts go, Save SAU tells me there are lenders who are willing to help with the school's finances. They, see positives happening here at St. Aug's, but Save SAU tells me before that happens, those lenders say they want to see real change in leadership. And that starts with the chairman, Benjamin Johnson from Save SAU, saying getting rid of Brian Boulware and James Perry. They are 2 members of the board with SAU that have, had, mistrust with finances and how they're handling things. Brian Boulware stepped down as the chair, but he's still on the board. So he's still a part of the decision-making process, just doesn't have that same title. And the way that Benjamin Johnson put it to me was, this is just like, corporate musical chairs. You're moving from one to the next, but you're not leaving. You're still a part of the problem in his eyes.
Well, it's definitely going to be a lot to watch. Thank you so much, Shaun. We appreciate your reporting on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. That's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. You can sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.